Welcome back, everyone, to the podcast where we deep dive into the latest tech trends. And today we are tackling a topic that is making waves, the state of artificial intelligence in 2025. Joining me is Khalid, a seasoned C-suite professional with vast experience across multiple industries, including financial, information, oil and gas, logistics, facility management, and online marketplace. He has played a vital role as a member of Global Internet Society, an original steering group that formed the ICANN, Internet Corporation of Assigned Names and Numbers in 1999. And as the chief data scientist and founder of Oryx Solutions, Khalid has consistently demonstrated his expertise in leveraging data to solve real business challenges. And Oryx Solutions delivers cutting-edge AI models, include Oryx Research, Oryx Genie, and Oryx Market Analyst, and Oryx EBI, aimed at driving decisions through domain-specific insights, behavioral intelligence, dynamic pricing, and customer optimization. Thanks, Khalid, for joining us.
Thank you, Muhammad. And that was a mouthful, actually.
Yeah. So, okay, now for the first question, that while AI is undeniably advancing, many organizations are stuck for POCs, and everyone wants to do something in the AI space. And these promising initial projects that are there rarely translate into a full-scale integrated implementation. What's your perspective on this white elephant in the Middle East AI arena?
Yeah, well, you described it quite correctly, being a white elephant, because no one is actually talking about it. And here's the biggest problem, actually, that each organization, they think they are the only ones who are not taking decision, but others are taking decisions. But in fact, most decisions are going very slow. That's one. Second thing is that they are postponing, and there are reasons for the postponement, but what is really not clear is that you see all the news every single day about AI this, AI that, AI this, AI that, and there is, don't get me wrong here, there is a huge move with regard to AI, but you would be surprised to see that the individuals and the consumer side is much more actually than on the enterprise, and that's especially here in this part of the world, which is the Middle East. So that's kind of not clear from outside if you speak to any one within the industry, but there are reasons for that. And unfortunately, some of these reasons, we'll just talk about four of those reasons, and we will take one by one. And the reason why we would like to talk about them is so that you can see and reflect for those listeners. They can reflect and see how is their organization with regard to those points. So maybe we can help them out. And then after that, we're going to talk about some of the solutions that can be taken for such organizations so that the listener again can actually have a great help for them to do something about it. So let's start with the first one, which is always the first one, which is data challenges. See, data challenges, I think, is the biggest one. And Muhammad, you and I, we spoke about this many times. I think from the very first day I saw you, and I had a short talk with you, if you remember, in Dubai. I emphasized on data, and I still emphasize on data. And I think this emphasis is key because one, AI is here to stay, 100%. Two, the faster, the better. But how do you go about it is really what we're going to talk about today. But going back on the data issues, see, there are multiple of issues if you want to go through the data issues. One of them would be the privacy of the data. Another one would be the type of data, because you can't just take any kind of data, unclean data. There's a lot to be done with the data to actually have it ready. But then again, there is a disconnect between the kind of data that you have and the kind of goals that you have. You see? So this is something that's going to be there even if you are a decision maker and even if you make decisions fast. you're going to be confronted with this because that's actually a logical problem, and it's very widely seen as opposed to what you would think. So that data, really, I cannot give it enough time to talk about all the elements of data, but that's the biggest one because without data, AI is nothing. So that's one. Second thing, I'll just jump to the second point, which is integration issues. See, when you talk about enterprises, businesses, they are all already going through their businesses and they have a certain setup. So obviously they want to have um, something better. They want to improve their productivity, for instance, but they would actually have to somehow, one way or another, bring this AI and integrate it with the ongoing and existing systems. Now, sometimes it's actually from the AI side, sometimes it's from the well, let's say some of them are legacy solutions still till today. But some of them are not legacy, but the amount of time that you have to go through to actually penetrate through the organization to get to that. I'll give you just a very fast example. One of the clients we're dealing with now here, obviously I can't give the name, but they're within the telecom industry in the region, and they're actually a global player. But get this, this is our sixth month, six that we still did not get their basic data. And therefore, we actually had to synthesize data. So we had to synthesize data sets, which is very close to that. Because in our case, it was easier because we have been dealing and we're still dealing with other telecom companies that helped us to actually envision, all the like basic features that should come within a data set. But that does not really give you the best practice. But you have to do what you have to do, obviously. So integration issues is there because of the time, because of the limitations, because of the well, disconnect sometimes. The people there also, or a lack of AI expertise when it comes to data integration, but when it comes to AI itself, the knowledge, and I'm not talking about the consuming knowledge or consuming AI knowledge. I'm talking about productive knowledge of AI, which is what are the things that you need to do? What are the frameworks that you have to do? How can you be prepared? For instance, when we this number three, point number three, takes us to point number one. How can you be prepared with your data? These two play like the same role actually from two sides of the coin, because you have to have people who actually prepare the data. You have to have people who actually, as they start uploading the fresh data, if they do it right, you can find it easier. If they do it cleaner, you can find it better. So it all goes together. So this lack of AI expertise is really also drilling very deep into the delay in AI implementation. The fourth one is the resistance to change. And by the way, this resistance to change is something that is everywhere with humans. Anywhere you have humans, you have resistance to change. So it's not particular to AI. So I would say these are the main four hindrances that have to be addressed, and hopefully we're going to address today.
Thanks for that. This you have summarized it very well. Four key challenges, and this is we have seen a lot, right? Doing POC is very easy, but doing this, putting it into production where we are integrating it with the data, and there comes the whole problems that happen. So now, how can organizations overcome these challenges? You mentioned these four challenges, and successfully transition from these POCs that are there to production.
Yes. And since Muhammad, you mentioned now twice POC, and the issue is about not the POC. We have plenty of POCs, but we have very little start and going to the next line and having a fully developed solution on the other side. And I think it's very obvious. POCs, they are within the environment of the producer, but the solution would actually have to be in the environment of the user. So it's the environment issue, and that's why we mentioned the 4 points. But let's now delve into what are the things that we can do about that. And so I have written actually down some solutions. There are many solutions, but let's talk about the most obvious solutions, again, addressing those 4 points, starting with focusing on business value. See, I have seen many um, organizational leaders, when they want to go for AI, they think it's a silver bullet. They think it's a one size fits all. They think it's the end of their pain. So it's one pill you swallow, somehow, with just give it half an hour, everything is gone, you're perfect, everything is fair and well. It doesn't work like that. It can never, it never worked, not with AI, not with anything else. I mean, we have seen that, but I guess we are over excited about that, and we hope. Let's now talk about hope, putting hope aside, and talk about practical implementations here. If you actually start with saying, let's talk about the business value, you know what you're saying at the same time? You're saying, hey, AI, BI, CI, ML, who cares? I now would like to address my business proposition, my business value. How can then AI make it faster, make it better, make it easier? These 3 points. I say always, AI is here to do this, to do easier, faster, and better. So you cannot just come and try to fix something like the Americans say, don't try to fix it when it's not broken. In that case, I mean, yes, you may have like 1,000 broken things in the organization, but you're trying to fix something totally different. So let's talk about the value. When you talk about value, one, everyone is listening with you within the organization. Two, even the service producer, the service provider who you bring, they would be actually adhering. Here's how they're adhering. They would be adhering from the end backwards, from the goal backwards, as opposed to going this way. So POCs is actually going this way, the other way, meaning this is a beautiful thing. Huh? This look how AI is fast, but fast for what? When did it actually fix an issue? Did it actually enhance an area? Did it give higher productivity? That's the question. So these things can't be answered unless you're talking about a very specific subdomain within which you have a business value, within which you have a problem that you would like to fix. So it really starts as that. And then AI comes in to just do it easier, faster, and better. The next point I'd like to talk about here as a solution is building a strong foundation. Obviously, there is a very bad slogan, the garbage in, garbage out. That's what we know about that. Everyone in data science, I know you know about that. And that's actually true. It's like the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. You can't. You're doing the same thing. So go ahead and change. And by that, you need to start with your foundation. So with the foundation, you need to look at how are the data that you have? What data do you have? Not just any data works for any kind of processing. You have to have specific data for specific processing. So if you have this much data or this much data, really to an extent, it doesn't matter for one reason. First, it has to be cleaned data. Second, there's always outside data that you can benchmark, whether it's about competitive analysis or competitive benchmarking. Other companies like you, there are lots of data that you can get, but start with the business value, have your foundations, make sure you have a clean data, um, guarded data. Privacy is a big concern, but do not overdo it. I have seen and heard people, and this is a message to the public, I've heard so many people I have dealt with myself through our business that they say, hey, but you know, we are in telecom. Hey, we're in insurance. Hey, we're in healthcare. We can't just give you our data. But you know what? Like they say, wake up and smell the coffee. No one has the right to delve any third party information for other people, including myself if I was part of that data pool. But the issue here is that don't just cover your eyes by that. Put all the guards in place and move. That is my message here. Number three is prioritizing talent development. I have seen people who immediately at the enterprise level thinking, hey, we need to have our talents and our employees, go and get to the next level. But it's taking such a darn long time for them to make decisions. Look at many people I am dealing with right now, or some of the largest businesses in the region. They just started right now doing that. It took them 1.5 to 2 years since the blast, I call it the blast of AI. And they're just now doing that. So there is a delay, but never mind. At least get on the bandwagon and do that. And the last but not least is that, you know what? Start small. Don't start big. That's very scary. That's true. Start small. So if I was to come and ask you how many problems do you have, which are very much relative problems for you can list them down and start with one, and probably even the smaller one. No problem. And or whether it's about large or small, or whether it's about the kind of project that you're talking about, you choose, but start small. Anything you start is going to show you the way, like they say. The start of a very long walk starts with one step.
Yeah, coming to one of them that I have personally seen is where is the, especially in the AI era right now, where we are generative AI applications, where is the solution going to be hosted on? Whenever we say that it's going to be hosted on the cloud, the clients here get skeptical that they don't want their data that is lying in the local servers to get exposed to APIs. And as we know that running LLMs is costly on you need to have the infrastructure
Mhm.
there, and then here it comes with a cost which is not being understood by the clients. They think that it is just like basic IT project wherein you don't need so much computational power, but in reality for AI projects we all know how much processing power is required. So, what are your thoughts on these type of initial talks that stop? Because if the company is not ready to host their applications on the cloud or use any APIs, then it becomes, and also the budget constraint, then things don't move. And this is more likely with SMBs and startups.
Hmm. I would like to say to SMEs one message, and I'd like to say to enterprise a different message, and I'd like to say to individuals a different message. Let's start with SMEs. SMEs, they should start looking at small, what we call small language models. There are many small language models, and they are actually at the same time, they are uh, open source. Of course, they need to look into the open source. This is something that most people don't know, but they should look. They should look at the license of those small models, language models, and make sure that they are okay for commercial use. Because some of them are actually are not okay, even large or small, both. So they should resort for that, where they can actually have it on their laptop. It's that small. And the issue here probably is the knowledge with the developers, with the AI developers that we have around. They're still not exposed to this kind of a thing. But as a practitioner myself, I know that we have started with small language models from the beginning, and this is something that you should make use of. For instance, Tiny Llama, for instance, from the Llama family. Tiny Llama has been actually produced from in Singapore. And it has also now, because of whatever happened, the speed at which things are changing in this world with regard to AI is phenomenal. So check all the time, and you will find there are different kinds of weights for each one of them. Weights meaning, how big is that? So there's even tiny llama 1B. That's nothing. There's 7 billion. 1 billion there's. So it depends. Now, also, something else for SMEs, they need to understand. You do not want, or I should say, you do not need an LLM that does everything. That's not for you. You should be more so for fine-tuned small language models that are fine-tuned with data sets with information that you would like to actually use. Because then it'll take down the hallucination, it'll give you faster response, it'll give you what you want, and no need for high compute power. And that's exactly what you need as a small or medium-sized entity. I'm moving on now to the enterprise, and I'd like to say to them, even enterprise, they can start small. They can start small and they can start in the cloud. They can have a private cloud. There's nothing wrong with having a private cloud. And in fact, we are running right now many places and they can do the same, whoever it is, whether it's a producer who's listening right now or it's the enterprise itself. They can go ahead and have this architecture where they have their compute power coming from the private cloud, but then they can even host their small model or smaller model on premises, but they can just basically fire it up from the cloud. That's possible. That's a very possible architecture, and we had to do it more than once. Another one is why not do even host that on your private cloud because it's yours. No one has anything to do with that. I mean, if you're afraid of any information going out, it actually is not, especially if you have your own copy there sitting at the cloud. Now, how about you go for the next level? And I'm not going to the highest level, but next level for enterprise. You can have a larger open source language model that is sitting in your private cloud, firing it up from there for you only, no one else. All your information is intact, just like your other information. That this is nothing new. Forget LLMs, but there's nothing new that people are using clouds. Why do you think all of those companies, whether it's Google or anyone else global, they sometimes go out of the screen? It's because there's something wrong happened or anything, because they're exposed. My point is. So everyone is exposed. But here you have elements, you have security measures, you have, like, for instance, GDPR in Europe, they're very strict. We understand, many people understand. Go by those guidelines and you're okay. You can do it. So don't close your eyes just because you don't know. Read about it. That's all you need to do. Moving on to the individuals. I think the individuals are the ones that are really, really not taking the full advantage of what's happening, because there's huge, huge leaps within AI that individuals are not taking. I'll just give you a very fast example. Today, I had my son come into the Majlis, and he was complaining about something, a subject, and he didn't know if he was understanding it enough. And I said, okay, can you get me the book, please? Just the book. So he gave me the book. And I opened up on my phone, and I normally don't talk about which one I opened, but it's available to everyone. So I opened that app, and I actually deliberately put open also the viewer, the camera on it, the video camera on it. And I was saying, hey, what is this book about? And so it was telling me this is book about da 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 da, all of that. And then I said, okay, how about the what kind of questions come in the exams for this book? Which section do you want? I said, oh, let's choose this section of the book. So, okay, well, these are the type of question, da 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 da. Then I said, okay. I said, how about page 371? Can you read what's there? I said, well, I don't have that, but if you show me, so I opened to 371 and I showed it, and it was looking, said, okay, I can see it now, and it explained it all. And then I went to a one specific area of that page, and I said, explain a little bit more, elaborate on this part. And it elaborated. And then I said, okay, can you say it to me in Arabic? I didn't understand it in English. Can you just say it in Arabic? So Swift switched to Arabic. I said, hey, hey, can you say it to me in Egyptian Arabic? I want to hear that. And it gave me in Egyptian Arabic. My point is, there is a lot to be aided with, to be augmented through using AI. And that comes to the point that I'd like to say here at this point here, which is people do not really know to what extent they can have leaps within their daily lives because they are stuck to their previous way of living.
Thanks for that, Ian. That is very well said. And the word that you mentioned is using technology or AI as your co-pilot, a person who's helping you to do your tasks in whatever way you can do it in a more efficient manner, making it your friend. And this is something that I have been pushing a lot as well in our academy. And don't hesitate to use these tools, as you mentioned, to help you learn and but the thing is you need to understand, don't try to you, and that is up to the way we go ahead with, right? You have to be use it as your friend to ask doubts, to get the clarity and help it to do your activities that are there, and in a
And
very
I think, and I think, Muhammad, the main point here also is don't fear. This is, you see,
yeah.
people think, or you and I, when we speak, fear, yes, fear, because people have fear. Even they don't speak about it, but inside they fear it might go wrong. They fear what should I say? They fear, but that's exactly the barrier, your own barrier. No one's placed any barrier on you.
One last question before we try to conclude, because this is a word that is I have been hearing a lot since the end of December and even now. AI agents. And in our conversation, we touched upon a lot of things. But yeah, but this terminology, what is your thoughts about this terminology, especially everywhere you see in social media and everyone is talking about that. If you have any problem, uh, create an AI agent to solve that. And for us professionals, we feel that this is not something new. It is just a new way of doing things. But I wanted to know your thoughts about this.
Well, agents came about, I think, if I remember correctly, about a year and a half back now. They're not new. Absolutely not new. Year and a half. And I'm trying to remember the name of that. It's something that is under Hugging Face, actually. They came up with
Langchain.
LangChain. Thank you very much. Absolutely right. LangChain was the very first, and chain is really chain of agents, but it wasn't seen as that. Actually, it was a pipe. You know what? When we do our AI pipes and we do our ML pipes, it was seen as a pipe because it's new. But it actually went from that to what you see today. But it was also about the depth, the multi-modal effect that we have today that wasn't there. That's the main difference. And also the simultaneous running of separate pipes, I would call, which lead to separate possibility of agents. That is the main difference that took place here. But I tell you this, I think the agents are the main thing that's going to change the small jobs. And I'll say again, not AI, agents. And you will not believe, do you know what's sitting between or what's standing between those jobs vanishing quickly and what's happening right now is one thing only. And that is the speed at which people adhere and understand those AI, what do you call them? I have these things. I have some blocks sometimes. Agents, here we go.
Yes.
It's those agents really. And what is that thing that's keeping people here at bay so far, you will not believe it's so small, but people don't see it. It's prompting. People still, till today, have a big problem creating a strong and a well prepared prompt. That's only the difference. Because whatever is sitting on the other side of the wall has everything, but you have to actually ask. It's like this, nothing new. This is not AI only, nothing new. In human life, it was always this fear. Look at this, huh? Fear that's keeping people at bay and they don't ask for what they want. So forget AI. They have been doing it for millennia. So nothing new. I'm just saying to them, hey, if you couldn't do it before because of fear of rejection, because of humans, well, guess what? Now you don't have a human on the other side. At least don't be that fearful and go for it.
Yes, thanks a lot, Khalid. Any final thoughts? So I will be sharing your LinkedIn in the description as well. It will be showing on the screen. But any final thoughts and message to every people who are listening to this podcast?
I have only one message. It's the same message that I started with, which is don't fear AI, embrace AI. AI is here to stay. So you better make it your friend from now.